Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. Consciousness, chakras, and energy. This is a prelude to the new series Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. I was speaking on the heart center, the lataifs, and 9 point. It is in the same continuation in a broader perspective. For better understanding, I am bringing many more dimensions into it so that it becomes easy for you to understand this. When I come up on the 9 points, the emphasis on anagrams, its importance in Sufi tradition, and the work of Bolivian born Picasso. So consciousness, chakras, and energy. Man has not yet known, not understood that every cell in the body was created by the nature of your consciousness. Every cell in the body is created by your consciousness, not really by the food that you ate, as was the general belief system. If you do not know how to keep the nature of consciousness in harmony, you will not know how to keep your systems, the physiological, the mental, in order. Then you will function by accident, which need not be so. Do you know that there are over 200 different types of cells in a human body? And each type of cell is specialized to carry a particular function, either solely or collectively. Collectively, the cells form a tissue, and different tissues combine together to form a particular organ. An organ is like a workshop where every type of cell has its own job. Every tissue has its own function, and together they contribute to the multifunctionality of the organ. When certain cells is individual, certain cells combine together to form a tissue, another entity. So the tissues, the cells, everything works for the proper functioning of an organ. And each cell is created by your consciousness. Now, comes a question of awakening. Awakening means you are one with existence. Existence implies sentient and insentient. They are all one, the totality. What is a holy place? A holy place represents a particular energy field. Awakening means you are a microcosm. Whatever existence is composed of, the awakened one has discovered it within. Each holy place is the confluence of energy within the human body. Each holy place is a confluence of energy. Chinese acupressure, acupuncture, and Nanak spoke of these because it is through the in-search they have discovered this. Therefore, an awakened one need not go to pilgrimage. It is claimed by Muslims that is incumbent on a Muslim to go for Hajj at least once in lifetime. Hindus talk about. Muslims are regimental about it. It is said that Hazrat Mujaddid Alif Sani Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, whose muqam was in Sarhind, came to Delhi on his way to pilgrimage Makkah. There he met another Naqshbandi Sheikh, who was the first to be sent by his Sheikh Hazrat Amkan Ki Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu in 1624. His name is Hazrat Baqibillah. Shrine is in New Delhi. When for the first time he came, he stayed in Lahore, and thereafter, 1 year after, he settled in Delhi. So when Imam Mujaddid Alif Thani had to stay in Delhi before heading for the holy pilgrimage, he met Sheikh Baqibillah. He decided to stay with Baqibillah rather than going for pilgrimage. Deferred it for next year. Next year again it was deferred. So an awakened one, awakening means that you have known that you and the existence are one. Whatsoever is there in the existence, holy places or not, shrines, they are all energy fields, energy vortices, energy confluences, and they are within you. Discover these within, and having discovered these, you need not go for pilgrimage. Let me explain. There is a certain geometry to the physical existence and to the energy existence. Everything in the universe, from atomic to cosmic, works the way it does because of this geometric perfection. One of the most fundamental and most stable form of geometry is triangle. The equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle is the one. Normally a triangle supposed to have the total angle as 180 degrees Celsius. 80 degrees Celsius is the unit to measure temperature. 180 degrees. Equilateral triangle is the one where three angles are all equal 60 degrees each. In human energy system, there are two equilateral triangles. Use your imagination as well. One triangle is upward facing, upward pointing. This one is placed below. And then there is a downward pointing triangle which is placed above. Normally these two triangles meet just above the heart center, chakra, heart chakra. These triangles represent movement of energy. The upward pointing towards the below represents the energy coming from the above, and the one upward facing triangle it represents the movement of energy from below. These triangles represent movement of energy, one moving upward, emerging from the base center, and after transformation it is known as love. It is represented by the holy river Yamuna, the dark river, on the bank of which, under the moonlight, Krishna danced with milkmaid and his consort Radha. There is a particular reason for me to bring these into conversation and to emphasize what a holy place means. Once you understand this and you see this holy place is a confluence of energy and you have discovered it within, then it is not incumbent on you to go to visit the holy place. Yamuna is a sacred river in Hinduism and main tributary of goddess Ganga, the holiest of the rivers in Hinduism. The river is worshipped as Hindu goddess called Yamuna. She is also known as Yami, while in the later literature she is called Kalindi, means dark, black color. She is associated with Krishna, his consort, as well, and play an important role in the early life as a river. According to scriptural literature, the Puranic literature, Yamuna is said to be the daughter of sun, the though some say she is daughter of Brahma, the creator, and his wife Saranyu. She is the goddess of the clouds and the twin sister of Yam, the god of death. Her other brothers include the first lawgiver Manu and two Ashwins. The Ashwins are the divine doctors. The planet Saturn, she is described as Surya, the sun god's favorite child. So it is called by another name. A tale explains how this river came to be known as Yamuna. It is said Sanjana, the wife of Sun, was unable to bear the children to her husband. The sun's heat and light was an obstruction, so anytime she is in front of him, she will close her eyes to his presence. This insulted the husband's son, and that his son came to be known as Yama, the one who restrains. Due to the restraint she showed, Sanjana tried her best to keep her eyes open. However, she flicked it again. This again angered Sun, and who proclaimed that the daughter would be Yamuna. That's how she got the name Yamuna. Since the wife Sanjana had tried to keep her eyes open, Yamuna was blessed that she would be worshipped as a goddess and remembered throughout the time. In the first case, she has closed her eyes. In the second, she tried to keep it open, but for a fraction of a second, it flashed. So, the river also bears the name Kalindi, may be derived with her association with Yam, the lord of death, and the darkness as. Another source suggests that she derives her name Kalindi from the earthly source, the mountain Kalinda. Some legend also explains her darkness and thus her name Kalindi. It is not now the more important thing that I am going to mention. One of the Puran narrates the tale how originally the water of Yamuna was clear and it was turned black. There are few legends of it, some has meaningful, and let us look at the scientific reason behind it. It is said when Parvati, the consort of Shiva, sacrificed herself in the fire when she visited her father against the wish of her husband. Distraught by the death of the wives, Shiva wandered the whole universe. Then God of love shot Shiva with an arrow, and that made Shiva restless and excited. He was always thinking of his consort, and in a state of excitement he jumped into the river Yamuna to overcome the sexual urge in his mad frenzy. the water turned black by his sorrows and unfulfilled desire. Logically, it always happens because of the unfulfilled desires and sex. The energy turns into a dark energy. This is why in the Tantra, there is a description of black woman, Tilopa's Mahamudra. There is another legend about it. During the time in the river Yamuna lived a poisonous snake, the king, known as Kaliya. And because of his presence, the water got poisoned. Symbolically, snake represents the Kundalini, which is dormant and located at the sex center. That is how everyone is. The energy remains locked. So an incident happened. Krishna was playing with the cowherd boys, and purposely he threw the ball that he was playing into the river. The boys started demanding that Krishna should bring back the ball. So he jumped into the river. The ball has reached the base of the river. There, this king of a snake serpent was sleeping. He had a fight with him, and he got defeated and on the verge of being killed. At that moment, his wives came and they requested Krishna to pardon their husband. Again, it is symbolic and it relates to every human being. Sex is the seed. When it grows, it emerges out of the darkness in the womb of the earth. It blossoms into a tree, and that bears the fruits of love and awareness. So it need not be destroyed, need not be killed. The seed cannot be killed. Sex is the seed. You have to understand its nature, and in understanding, it will grow and evolve. So Krishna tells Kaliya, listen to these words. It is your presence that has made the water poisonous. You move from here and go elsewhere. तुम यहाँ से अन्यत्र कहीं चले जाओ. Move from here where you are, the base. Move from here and go elsewhere. What this is, the entire movement of the stored sexual energy and the journey of Kundalini. That is why Yamuna represents love. Love in its seed form. It has to blossom from the seed of sex. Krishna is telling the serpent snake Kaliya to move from here and go elsewhere is very significant in the entire inner discovery, the inner search of human being. It was Krishna, after defeating the serpent Kaliya, directed him to go elsewhere. And this symbolizes the transformation of sex energy into love. I went into some more details. However, what is more important is that Yamuna represents the transformed energy of sex as love. Krishna had asked Kaliya to move from there, and in that the water of the Yamuna cleared, and on the banks of this river, under the full moon light, Krishna played his flute and dance of love. The clarion call of love of Krishna that has maddened the milkmaids. They left everything, every household woke to be on the banks of the river. In fact, these milkmaids were sages in the past lives. Their energies has moved to the head. They have known everything of the head but nothing of the love. So when they approach Krishna, he said in one of the lives when he will be born as Krishna, approach Vishnu. When I will be born, incarnated as Krishna, then you will be born as milkmaids, and your desire of unfulfilled love, unexplored love will be fulfilled. Getting married, having sex does not mean love is fulfilled. Love is fulfilled only when there is transformation, the energy moves, and you are within the energy field of an awakened one. This represents the upward moving triangle. It is the aspiration of human being to evolve and grow. That's why when water evaporates, it goes up and up and up. The other downward triangle represents the flow of the meditative energy. This is represented by holy river Ganga, Ganges. How did this river emerge from the feet of the Vishnu? And through Shiva, it came on the earth at the concerted effort of Bhagirath to bring salvation to his 60,000 brothers. Those who are familiar with the beliefs and practices of Hinduism know that river Ganga is the most sacred rivers for Hindus. It is said, when you want to make the children learn something, you mention it in story forms. There was a particular TV serial on Indian channel called Shaktiman, the Powerful. And the purpose of this channel was for the children to bring transformation. It has been reported that the mothers said, and when they met the character Shaktiman, they said, because of you, My child has started drinking milk. The child who did not like the milk, he said, Shaktiman says drinking the milk will make you strong like me, and is performing certain super actions. So every child, so whenever anything has to be said, it has to be said, told in parables, stories. Nanak used that. Every master, awakened one, uses anecdotes, parables. In Sufism it is called parables. It is called Kon in Zen. Through these you can say the unsayable. So those who are familiar, they know that Ganga is another holy and sacred river for Hindus. People strive to make a pilgrimage to the banks of the river and immerse themselves in its holy water under the belief that whosoever takes a dip in the waters will get rid of their sins and achieve liberation. Some of the oldest temples and pilgrimage places of Hindus are located on the banks of the river. Ganga symbolizes purity and the power of purity to purify everything. There is a little doubt that Ganga is the mother of all purifiers. Normally, when you take the water, whether it is the bottled water, it has an expiry date. An experiment was done, scientific work. Water was taken from river Thames and from Ganges. And the Ganges water did not spoil. When I was a little child, we had a bottle of Ganges water, maybe 10 years or 15 years old. A little bit of that we used to use for religious functions, and that water never got contaminated, remained no bacteria, nothing. So it is pure as well as it's purifier. Purifiers occupy an important place. In Hinduism, the mortal world is considered as impure place since it is infused with death, ignorance, desires, sinful karmas which envelop the soul like a dark cloud and bind them up to the cycle of birth and death. Since minds and bodies are infused with them and subject to modifications of nature, they are also considered impure. Liberation is not possible unless souls become purified and find an escape from them. Hence, a great emphasis is placed in Hinduism upon purification of the mind and body through transformation practices and techniques such as yoga and tantra. Without cultivating purity, none can become enlightened or liberated. The waters of Ganga symbolizes the power of purity for the mortal beings, like the flow of the water that never stagnates. She purifies and touches everything. As a purifier and liberator of souls, River Ganga symbolizes the following: understanding of scriptures, not knowledge, understanding of scriptures, breath, ritual waters, rainwater or the waters of life and flutes in mother's body. Upon sexual union, male fluid is released in the womb of the mother, just as water of Ganges flows into the mortal world from heavens. The water of having, then it becomes Reta in the male body. It flows into the womb. Symbolically, mother represents the earth element since she is the bearer. And the male fluid flows Ga flows into the female body. Body is known as Ang. So these two words, the male fluid, Ga, and the female body, where the womb where it settles, Ga, Anga. So the words came to be known as Ganga. It represents the life force or that flows in the organs of the body. In the body of the mother, it unites with the mother's egg and becomes fetus, thereby bringing to life the lifeless womb. Without the fetus, the womb was lifeless. When the male Reta, the Ga element, comes and merges in the space Anga with the female organ, the growth begins. Thereby bringing life to the lifeless womb, the lower world of the body, and sanctifying it just as river Ganga did at the time of its descent. The path of immortality, creation and existence. To work with your mind and imagination, it is important to adjust. This is the two aspects. Keep in mind. I'm just taking a little round and coming back to the third aspect. The love, the awareness, the meditation. Ganga represents the meditation, the meditative aspect. To work with the mind and imagination, it is important that these two triangles are properly aligned. The downward facing and upward facing. The ideal alignment would be that the upward pointing and the downward pointing triangles intersect each other to such an extent that they form perfect 6-pointed star. Take two equilateral triangles, place them one above the other. This is the Aurobindo's symbol. It forms 6 equilateral triangles on the outside. This is the symbol of Shri Aurobindo. I had uploaded it. You can check it. The upward pointing triangle represents Sat Chit Anand, consciousness, the truth, consciousness and bliss. First you have to encounter truth, and when truth is discovered, it needs a movement. It moves through consciousness. And then bliss comes in. In scientific terminology, it is energy, frequency, and vibration. I am a confluence between, an awakened one is a confluence between tradition and modern science. What I told you, Sat, Chit and Anand, you may say this is bullshit, this is the scriptural thing. But what about energy, frequency and vibration? First energy has to be created, then energy will move in frequencies. It is measured in hertz. The frequency at which the heart center begins to activate and vibrate is 528 hertz. When frequency comes in, the vibration comes in, it begins to vibrate. That vibration is bliss. That vibration, when a particular substance begins to vibrate, your water begins to vibrate at 528 hertz, it becomes medicine. That is why in the modern science, the vibrational medicines are used. So the downward pointing triangle represents Sat Chit Anand, truth, consciousness, bliss. This is known as descending triangle. The energy, frequency and vibration. The downward triangle, which is ascending triangle, it points upward. It represents the aspiring answer from matter. Aspiring answer from the matter in the form of life. Life is the beginning. First life has to come in. When life comes in, then love has to come. Without love, life is meaningless. And for that, you have to understand the seed of love, which is sex. How much and how deep the seed has to be planted. How it has to be nourished and nurtured for it to blossom into love. You can allow it to rot, or you can allow it to blossom into a tree. And the third is light. This is the aspiring answer from the matter. It is the matter that needs to be transformed. This is then it forms a square between the two triangles when they are aligned to form 6 equilateral triangles on outside and a square inside. The square, which has a lotus and water, it represents the perfect evolution of man, a perfect manifestation. Aurobindo calls it as avatar of the Supreme, the descent of the absolute consciousness into you, the return of Christ in you, the descent of supramental. Aurobindo calls it descent of supramental. He gave the concept, and the people, his followers, are still waiting for the descent of supramental, and Hindus are waiting for the 10th incarnation of forget the name. 10th incarnation. 9 is easy. Up to 9 you can reach. But 10th is born within you. That is why in all the worships, the symbol of 9 is used. It is perfect number. The perfection has come. The body and the consciousness has reached to the level of perfection. What next? Dissolve it into the unknown and let it emerge out of that. So that is the story of 10 incarnations. 9 has happened. 10th is yet to happen. And everyone is talking about that. But nobody understands that. Everybody is talking about the return of Jesus, but not understanding. Therefore, when this necessary alignment is achieved, you will be able to exercise your imagination in such a way that you can manifest what you want outside of you. Then your imagination becomes intuition. To enhance the power of your imagination, you need to lift the ascending triangle. In general Sufi terminology, it is known as nafs. And in terminology of geometry of the body, it forms the foundation. You have to lift this triangle to include the center of expression. That is, as I said, when the two triangles, the lower triangle, triangle of aspiration, naturally reaches the heart center. In certain moments of sex, you are very emotional. But these are lower emotions. They had not been sanctified. They can be sanctified only when the awareness, the meditation comes in you. That is why in Tantra, the emphasis is on the merger of sex and meditation. If you are involved in the act of sex meditatively, focus on your breath. The breathing that is haphazard in the beginning, it begins to calm down. As it calms down, the alignment of the two triangles is happening. Sex is blossoming into love. Consciousness is merging into that. This is the essence of Tantra. Superfluously people talk about Tantra and Tantra group, not knowing what actually Tantra is. When the two triangles, the descending and ascending, are adjusted together, when the two ascending triangle and the descending triangle are adjusted, a third force is born in you. And that third force is witness. Witness is the confluence of dhyan and love. First, sex has to evaporate to become love. And meditation has to be purified to merge with love. A third force is born. And this third force flows like an invisible stream. Nobody has seen the witness. Symbolically, this invisible stream is the extinct, the third river that completes the confluence, Saraswati. the goddess of wisdom. Witness is wisdom. In the holy pilgrimage at Allahabad, which is known as the king of the holy places, is known as Prayagraj. The two streams, Ganga and Yamuna, are clearly visible, but Saraswati is extinct. It is said with the passage of time, Saraswati has moved away. It is not so. With the passage of time, man has forgotten the significance of love, represent through the symbol of Yamuna, the deepest understanding of a Hindu awake mind. It has not been so clear vision as it is in a Hindu awakened one. Sufis have a great awakening, but their symbols differ. My purpose is to give you that which is the best. Saraswati represents witness, the union of love and meditation. Meditation is the transformed energy of the mind flowing through the mind, and love is the transformation of sex energy. It is the aspiration moving upward, and the energy of meditation is downward flowing. When the two merge into one another, witness is born. This is extinct. For this, one has to make effort. There is a particular sadhana or meditation technique to move it up and hold it there all the time. I will take this as there is no need for me to rush and try to conclude or explain. It will take a little while. That is why when you ask me a question, it takes me time to do my in-search and see how I should present it. In a deepest and yet simplest form, through symbols and parables that you can understand it, and it sinks deep into you. Only this much for this morning, until tomorrow for the continuation. Take care and do have a pleasant day.